by these other combat sports, and I could even probably see even becoming more diluted and getting even sort of more zanier. The powers that be to try to combine the combination of mixing up the different fighting arts, but even that's a bit on the bizarre side, and I don't think anybody's got it right yet. But sadly, boxing, they could well be on their way out, because it's not just that infusion of these new fighting sports, but we're heading towards, and we have been for the last 30, 40 years, this PC kind of thought, where sporting events like that are becoming too violent, and as we touched on there, the guy who got killed in that charity fundraising boxing fight here in New Zealand just doesn't help that cause for the fighting arts.
It's kind of a risky run, though, and it just doesn't. It happens not just in boxing, but it also happens in other physical sports, rugby league. I mean that sort of thing happens, kind of like along the board in most contact sports, though, doesn't it, Raa?
Oh yeah, no, you're right, Keith. That's a given. I mean, the more physical the sporting code, the more you're probably going to see a lot of that, a little bit of fisticuffs in there. But the nature, as we must remind ourselves, the nature of boxing and MMA and a lot of the fighting arts are just that. They're based on violence. They're based on knocking your opponent out, getting them down, and winning by fist or feet, So it's just the nature of those codes that they are what they are, and that's what they're all about. Whereas, events like league and rugby, you're going to get that because they're physically enduring codes, but the nature of the fighting arts, well, they're just that fighting. So, you're going to get more pressure and more scrutiny of those sporting events.
It's something that's pretty much happened. It's part and parcel of that particular sport, because it's so violent. I mean, even boxers, when they finish fighting, Rino, when they finish fighting, they are, I guess, in a way, quite heavily affected, when they get older and leave that sport, though, part and parcel of it. What do you reckon, Rino?
A lot of physical sport these days, no matter what it is, what code it is, it takes some effect on your body. Obviously, after you finish being a professional sportsman or sportswoman, that's just part of it now, Keith. Most of it now, it's a business, eh? Everything operates at the business. You jumped through this week, we've heard about the secondary school rugby up there in Auckland and the poaching of players. And most said it's a business now. It's no different to how the professional rugby player cracks it through to Super Rugby or something like that with a contract. It's you either play good or you lose or you're gone. So I think most of it, all of these contact sports are businesses, and you do feel the effects, obviously, and boxing's one of those. Brain damage is a big thing they talk about. MMA, UFC, very physical. A lot of people there's a big majority of people who don't like it because of the physicality. But hey, bloody Will's getting too PC, mate.
Yeah. I agree. Now, you were talking about, well, I can only guess you're talking about that young boy who was playing in the Crusaders, development team, and he's gone up to one of those Auckland teams. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah. What it is, it's St Kitts. It's the St Kitts school that's been hammered. It's good to see them come out to explain that as well. So it's all about the Auckland secondary schools rugby competition. Some of the schools are looking at poaching players to kind of bolster their team as well. Basically, the focus really is on the individual. Sport, obviously, and
so is that a good thing? Is that a good thing, though?
Well, that's what I'm going to allude to. Some would say that's not a good thing because that team might just win all the time. There's a lot of pros, a lot of cons. It's nothing new, mate. I know for a fact that it's not only Auckland that does it. They've been doing this for a long time. It's just got unearthed, and someone's let the cat out of the bag. And unfortunately, St Kitts has taken the whole rough of it all. And there was a big question, I think, was asked throughout the whole country on Wednesday about the poaching of players. That's sports. That's just how it's going now. And like I said, you go to Super Rugby or anything like that these days, that's just sport. You know, you used to be in Super Rugby, your franchise areas are where the players came from to bolster your franchise. But now they spread right out in the far. Now they poach into areas. You might get a Blues player or in their franchise area go and play for the Highlanders. So no difference, mate. And some of these kids, man, these kids are like men. The size of them are like men or bigger than men.
I guess that's just the hazard of professional rugby these days, then, eh? What do you reckon, Raa?
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, New Zealand, we just, you know, we're still adapting to that style of poaching. You could call it, you know, by whatever name, but other countries have been doing it for yonks, the States, over in Great Britain. So, you know, I suppose because of our population base and our size, we just sort of, we pretty much know everybody of sorts. So, you know, when we see that happening, there's a lot of outcry about, oh, is it fair, blah, blah, blah. But it's just the way of the world. And me personally, I see nothing wrong with it because we're actually installing the nature of professional sport in these young athletes now that they're going to have to get used to anyway, whether they, you know, continue on the path of pursuing a career in rugby or league or whatever professional code they're interested in. It's just the way of the world, and I think a small country like ours, we're just sort of just catching up with the way everything is.
True. JT, rugby league, they know all about poaching, eh?
Well, funny you should mention St Kitts because Suliasi Vunivalu, who plays for the Melbourne Storm, was acquired from St Kitts by the Storm as Nasofa Solomona signed on as a 14-year-old when he was still at Wellington College playing rugby, and he was going to be the next big thing in rugby union, but he's with us for the next 4 or 5 years. But yeah, mate, rugby league's got a history of because it's been professional, well, allegedly professional, longer than rugby, so they've got a bit of a head start there, but in saying that, look, the league still has a long way to go in terms of the off-field stuff, administration and all that sort of carry on. I think we'll learn a thing or two from rugby there.
Absolutely. Anyway, we're going to go to a break. We'll be back with more Full-Time right after this. Turanga FM. On behalf of the Full-Timers, I would just like to say big thanks to Joachim Currid, who brings us our music intro. Check him out on joachimcurrid.com. He's also on YouTube, Twitter, SoundCloud, Bandcamp, Spotify, Instagram, and follow him on Facebook. Another big thanks goes out to Silent Partner, who brings us our outro. Check out their music on YouTube. And also thanks must go to the Polish Ambassador for the backing music for this promo. Check out the Polish Ambassador on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Beatport, Instagram, Twitter, and on his website, thepolishambassador.com.
You're listening to a podcast produced by Turanga FM, #1 iwi radio station in Aotearoa. We play each full-time session on Turanga FM Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. You can listen in live on our Turanga FM media page. Just click the main Turanga FM logo to tune in online. Or if you're in the Gisborne area, we're on the radio frequencies 91.7, 95.7 and 98.1. Also check out the Full-Time Facebook page where you can listen to the podcast again. Make comments and click links that will lead you to other ways to listen to the podcast, such as Spreaker, iTunes, SoundCloud, Twitter, YouTube, Podchaser and Tumblr. Right, let's get back to the Fools on Full-Time.
Welcome along to our second session here on Full-Time. Sending another shout out, of course, going out to our sponsors, Racecrack Motors. Go and check them out down there on Grey Street.
Yeah.
Right, we are talking more about, well, let's get on to another sport, I suppose. It was a bit of a historic day yesterday, wasn't it, JT? Wasn't a historic day. New Zealand wrapping up the cricket series against Pakistan. From what I understand, the last time that New Zealand beat Pakistan in a series was back in 1969, I think it was, or something along those lines. So that's some pretty good going for our... What was that, JT?
Is Rino status domestic issues yet, or are we going to tap into that and have a listen to that, or are we talking cricket?
Cricket, mate. We're talking cricket.
Yeah, look, I think it's 1969 was the last time New Zealand beat Pakistan in a series away from them. So with what's going on in that part of the world in Pakistan, they unfortunately aren't able to host test matches in their own country, so they've got to go to the Emirates to do it. So, win by 123 runs and a series win 2-1 to the Black Caps. First time in a long time. And good on the boys. I wish they'd come over here and play Australia because Australia and all sorts of duty at the moment, which is just beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I agree there too, JT. I think it's just great news. Great news to see that happen. Of course, great stuff also from Kane Williamson. I'll be honest, I was watching the game the other day on Thursday, I think it was, and it wasn't looking too promising. But glad the boys were able to get it together, especially in the last day. Of course, they were able to bowl out the team, which was great to see, JT?
Yeah, I think a welcome addition in Southie.
Yeah.
His first ended up with 3 wickets and the 2 got 6 between them. So, yeah, a good effort there by the boys. And look, just like I said, it's unfortunate that the calendar or the timetable doesn't allow us to play Australia next short period. They're in a battle at the moment against India. India bowled out for 250 on day 1 down in Adelaide, and Australia yesterday it stumps 191 for 7. So still with the 59 runs behind a first innings lead. And I think they've never won a series against Australia here in Australia. So the chances are for Virat Kohli and his band of merry men to stick one right up the Aussies at the moment, and hopefully there's a saying over here, I support 2 teams, New Zealand and one from Australia, so at the moment I'm a part of the Swami Army. Let's go India. Nice.
Because they're good pickings right now at the moment, Australia? I mean, you're getting them at a pretty good time, I reckon anyway, because things just haven't been falling right for the Aussies of late, have they?
No, and we sort of got some good mileage out of the whole sandpaper gate thing.
Yes.
Earlier in the year, back in March, I think it was, over in South Africa. And look, they've brought in specialists, well, I think T20 or one-day players. Aaron Finch is a good one-day hitter. He's a hitter, not a batsman.
Yep.
And he's better a couple of times in that first over and got cleaned out by Ishant Sharma. Absolutely made a mess of his stumps. They went flying everywhere. Then they've got a bloke called Shaun Marsh, who's just out of sorts, hasn't passed 30 in his last 10 test innings. I think he might be struggling to keep his spot. They've got a world-class bowling lineup in Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood and Pat Cummins and the little off-spinner Nathan Lyon. But for me, the vulnerability in this series and moving forward will always be their batting lineup. They're just struggling at the moment. A lot of pressure on the likes of Lisman and Khawaja to try and hold it together, but the Indians, they just keep coming.
Yeah. Now, one of the interesting things I think that has kind of popped up of late, especially in the news, I'm not sure if you've seen this there, Reno, but apparently Shaun Johnson has come out saying that, apparently Stephen Kearney doesn't like him. What do you read into that?
Yeah, I did see that yesterday, Keithy, and he seems to be, one minute they're asking Sydney netball franchises for a place for his fiancée, Kayla Cullen, to play as well. She wants to get over there and what makes him play as a better player. And now he signed up 3 years with the Sharkies, his family around him. And then, 6 hours or 12 hours later, he throws it out there to the world that him and Steve Kearney never really got on. So I don't know why he's unearthing all of this. Kid just needs to focus on his new club he's playing for, leave all that rubbish out of it and focus on the game. And he needs to get himself back on track. One hot game, 5 games useless. One hot game, 5 games useless. He's just wasting his time trying to pick and throw all this kind of stuff out. Just doesn't make it any better for him. Steve Kearney's got a job to do and just makes it more... you look forward to the game in Christchurch, mate, if he's going to play for the Sharks and the Warriors are playing down there. And with him saying these type of stupid comments, but then again, I think Steve's too professional as a coach to kind of take that on board. He's got a job at hand to do and try and get the Warriors to to the top 8 and hopefully a premiership next year.
JT, what do you make of these comments that Shaun Johnson's been making about his now former coach not liking him?
Well, I think it's indicative of the club he's got.